Okay, hello everyone. I'm going to show you some adjustments that you can make to Unreal to make the lighting in the final product quite nice. So first we're going to play with the lightmass ini file that is in the config file of your Unreal Engine. So if you don't know what that is, I'll show you. So you go to your C drive, you go to Program Files, Unreal. Now I have 4.4. It doesn't matter what engine you have, version of the engine you have, so I have 4.4, so we're going to edit this one. So you go into there, go into engine, go into config, and then you'll find base lightmass. Now this is a config file, so we're going to have to open it in a programming editing suite. Now I have two open. One is my already edited one on the right, and this is the one that I'm going to edit right now. So it should look something like this. You scroll down to the bottom if you have Notepad++. If you don't, then regular Notepad will do it, or any other coding program. So we're going to just adjust the developer options static lighting production quality to the levels that are shown on the right. We're going to mimic them because I found that with fine tweaking and reading a lot up, these are some very nice lighting settings, but it does take longer to render in the long run. So anyway, from the top we're going to start changing things. So from the top, from the 8, change it to 32, 64, 9, oops, not 900, 7, 64, 6. It definitely likes 600. From 4, 32. We're going to leave the next one. Change the one after that to 32. The one after that to 64. Next one to 32. Next one to 0.45. And that's pretty much it. The rest is all the same. And now we're going to save that out. So what that does, it just increases how the lights will respond when baked in Unreal and when you're playing the actual game. So we'll close these now. So we're done with them. And now we'll fire up Unreal and I'll show you some basic lighting. Okay, so welcome back. Okay, so now that Unreal is open, I'm running the realistic rendering one. I've removed all the lights, post-processing volumes, and left the dynamic light in that is just for the sun. Now that's because the light is pretty much default. There's only like atmospheric change, and that's about it. So we're going to start lighting this place up now. First we're going to start with these 3 picture frames here. And then we're going to illuminate a few of the lamps around the room, and then just add some glare for the window here. So let's begin. So we'll fly over here and bring in a spotlight. There it is. So what we want to do is we want to line this light up just underneath the physical mesh lights, because they're not throwing any actual real light. So we'll bring them up. Yeah, that's pretty close. We'll drag another one out, just duplicating with Alt, and then we'll drag out another one. So these lights should now be illuminating, yep, exactly where we want them. Oops, I want to be selecting the lights because I think their rotation's out just slightly. So tick it back. Oops. There. Alright. So now we have these lights in. As it saves, we need to position a few more lights. So we need to position a few lamps, and then we can add the post-processing volumes and tweak the lights down. Alright, so what we're going to do is we're going to put a point light just in here. If it'll spawn correctly for me. There we go. Drag that boy in, go to detailed lighting so we can see what it's doing. And it is lagging my computer out. Okay, so now that we have these three lights set in here, we're going to have to add a few more lights into the scene to make it look a little bit nicer. So we're going to add a light just here inside of this lamp here, and the lamp on the other side of the room. So let's get these lights in. Now I'm going to use point lights for these, and we're going to put them inside the lamp to give that illusion that the lamp is on. Now we will need to change the textures of the lamps to lit. Oh my goodness. Now we will need to change these lamps to lit, so floor lamp on should be the right one. Yep, there it is. So we'll bring that light back up to 5,000. Now, obviously, as you can see, it is way too bright, but we will adjust that later. Alright, and we'll bring in one more point light. As the camera fights with me. Okay, now we're going to have to change these two lights to static lights so they're not throwing any dynamics, and we don't have any problems with these ones just here. If they have a cross through them, it means the dynamics will not be rendering, but that's okay, we can edit them out later. So now what we'll do is we'll have a look at what we have now. So as you can see, they're throwing away too much, but we can tweak that once we get the post-processing volume in. So we'll just add a few more lights, and then we'll get to the post-processing. These lights on the outside don't need to throw much light, so I'm going to drop just these down to 0.05. What we want is the radiation to be high once we get the volumes in there. So let's have a look what we have now. Okay, so we're going to do a quick build, and then we'll see how the lights are looking. Okay, so now that we have a bake out, you can see that the lights have now illuminated the room that we need. Okay, so now that the build is done, I only did in preview quality because it's faster. So now what we're going to do is we're going to adjust the lights and tweak them down so they don't blow the whole room out like they are right now. Now it's illuminating quite nicely, but it is not what we're looking for. We're looking for a lot cleaner lighting. So what we're going to do is we're going to start with these three lights up here, and we'll tweak them back, and then we'll just go through all the lights in the room, and then we'll see what it produces. After that's done, we'll get a post-processing volume in here, and I'll show you what it does tweak-wise. Alright, let's get going. So first things first, with these lights up here, we're going to select all three of them. And we're going to drop them to 0.15. Now you may be thinking that is absolutely nuts, why the hell am I doing it? Well, there is actually a reason, and you'll see in a couple of seconds. Going down, that hasn't been changed, that won't be changed. We'll change this to 60 so it gives a wider throw. Doesn't need as much radiation, so we'll push that one back to, we'll go 800 for that one. These I won't change. This one I will. And we'll keep going down. 8's fine. 0.8's fine. 0.5's fine. Yep. I think these are good. So now we're going to, let's have a look. So they're not very strong at the moment because we haven't adjusted the rest of the lights and then brought the post-processing volume in. So it'll flat light really badly and it'll look really dodgy. And we just want to place this ISC flashlight, which is essentially a texture for your lights and how they project. Okay, so they're all set. Now we'll move on to the lamps. So grab these two lamp lights and then we'll open up the lighting and let's tinker with them. So we don't want them to throw too much light, but we do want them to throw a bit. So we'll adjust this to 50, sorry. They don't need to throw as far, so I'll take these guys back to 700, so they won't throw as far, but they're still throwing a certain amount. I'll leave this ticked, and I think these are done, but we will change their color slightly to a very faint blue, so they look like they're LED lights to cool the room, while the rest will warm it. Just adds a nice tone to it. Okay, so yeah, they're still overpowering at the moment, but we can fix that. Okay, so they're done. And now we'll tweak the outside lights. Because we don't want them too strong, but we do want them strong enough that they'll do something. So we'll just raise this up a little bit. So we're getting some throw in there. This will leave. We'll reduce this to 750. And the rest doesn't matter. Okay, so now what we need to do is we'll build the lights again, and then we'll bring in the post-processing volume, and you'll see what it does. Alright, so we'll be back in a sec. So now we're going to cook. So now what we're going to do is build the lighting, and we'll go from there. So as you can see, these ones are throwing heavy, these ones aren't, and the rest will bounce. Okay, one thing you need to do before you bake is go into world settings and change the number of bounces that it allows. Now I'm going to put mine at 50 just to give a nice bounce ratio, and then we'll build it. Okay, so now what we're going to do after the light has just completed building is we're going to add a post-processing volume in that will just tweak how the lights work. Now there are a few lights in here that are a bit too strong. This is the part where you just start tweaking them down to where you like them. So you want to change their intensity. If you want them to throw more radiation, so the glow of a light, if you look at it, change the radiation. So we're just going to put in a post-processing volume, and then I'll show you one that I've tweaked up myself. So we'll get a post-processing volume that fills the entire area. There we go. Double check that it fills the entire area. Yep. So you put that over your playable area. Now we're going to tweak the settings so that it will look a lot better. So you don't need brush settings, we'll leave them. And now we start to color. So we want to tint, all of them. Now, I'm going to select a color off screen, but I'll give you the code just here. Where is it? Advanced, whoops. So I'll select my blue because you want a blue tinge, and there's the code that you want to start with, and then you tweak it until you're happy with it. So I like it just there. Now we want another tint, but this one's highlights, so we want this more yellowy. And again, the code that I'm using is right here. So we'll apply that, and then we'll just change these two just here. 0.75 and 0.15 I think I want for this. So now that's done, we can close that up. Then we want to change a few in here just to change the colors when it's in the volume. So 2.5 we want for these two. We want to change this to 0.1. Now we're going to put a color grading in here called lot. No? Okay, so I haven't got lot in the files, so I'll just move it in later, but there'll be a color grade that you want to use to get the most out of your scene's color. We'll adjust the bloom. I don't want it at 1, I think I want it at 0.9. But you'll see it's starting to affect it as we go down the list of changing the effects. See that it's starting to blue off the shadows so they're not hard and black. It just changes the whole feel of the room a little bit, I see. So we'll change the ambient occlusion 0.75 and 200. Yep. We don't want any motion blur or anything, but we will set the scene's reflections so that it reflects quite nicely. Now, because it's starting to up everything, my computer is now starting to struggle, so that's why it looks like it's dropping frames. But that post-processing volume will now do a lot of stuff to it. So as you can see, if I can get myself in a good position, if it'll let me do it, yep. Okay. So now that we have the post-processing volume set, I'll show you what it actually does to the actual room. So see how it just makes the shadows a lot nicer Very slight. But just the slight things change how the room can feel. So I'll build this and then we'll have a look at it, and then I'll show you my other one that I've tweaked on the side. Okay, so the lighting has just finished building. Now the lighting's a lot nicer than it was. But as I said, you will have to tweak your lights to get the best look out of them. Now I'll show you the one that I have been tweaking for some time. I'm still not happy with it, but it looks quite nice. But this is basics of lighting. Lighting takes a while to learn. So alright, I'll bring that up and I'll show it to you. Okay, as you can see, this is the one that I've been tweaking for a while. It's still not perfect, but it's getting to a place where I'm quite happy with it. So let's have a look at simulated. There it goes. All the static lighting have just loaded in. Now, with the lamps, I think these need to throw a little bit higher before they actually connect with the wall. But apart from that, it's coming along quite nicely. It's shading quite nicely. It's a darker room setting than the one that I've just shown you. But that is basics for just getting some very nice realistic lighting.